Should I settle down with one woman in my 20s or focus on my career and date around? Hey everyone, WhyLearn here, and welcome back to the third installment of WhyLearn Wednesday, where you send me emails and I answer them while drinking way too much coffee. Today we're going to have a casual discussion on finding meaning in your 20s through dating, and whether or not you should try to settle down with one woman, pursue a career in casual dating over serious dating, or some combination of both. Let's get started. Here's the question. Hey WhyLearn, I've been enjoying your videos and thought of a question. How committed should I be to one woman in my early 20s? Not that I would cheat on a girlfriend, but should I try to date a variety of women and settle down when I'm older? I recognize this is a very subjective question, but I'd like your input. Thanks, and I'm really enjoying the channel. Thanks for the question, for the email. I'm happy you enjoy the videos, and I think this is a very interesting question. There's two sides we need to consider here, and two completely different philosophies, and both have solid points. So let's start with one side. I think in this first part, it's implied that while dating a variety of women and not committing to one, you'll be putting your energy into other things as well, such as furthering your career. So with this strategy, you'll date around, maybe unseriously, get to know a variety of women, and focus most of your time on your career and accumulating wealth and status. And with this strategy, you're not letting the distraction of dating or putting too much time into women get to you, so that you can maximize the time chasing the lifestyle you want. You push off marriage maybe until your 30s, and maybe at that point you're more experienced to know what you want and make a better marriage decision. Then we have the other side, which is that you date seriously from an early age and try to find someone to settle down with, maybe have a family with. Now you have to compromise a little bit more, but you tried harder and you found your person earlier and it worked out. Now you have a path to stability and security and ideally happiness as well. So as with any complex situation, I love to go with the good old-fashioned pros and cons list approach. So let's do that. Let's start with the pros and cons of dating a variety of women and settling down later. So the pros of this, which is, since you're dating more people, you might find out what you like just by dating around and meeting a variety of women, and you'll meet some cool ladies, some crazy ladies, some religious, some hippies, and with that you can kind of refine what you like and what you don't like. And after all, your 20s is really all about learning about yourself and learning about others around you. So you might avoid settling down prematurely and an emphasis on might, make a better marriage decision later when you're more experienced, older, and wiser. So let me show some divorce rates by age for marriage. So divorce stats are very high if you have a teenage marriage aged 15 to 20, and I believe those have the highest likelihood of divorce compared to those who wait. Early 20s, you still have a little bit of an elevated divorce rate, but not as high as teenage marriages. And it seems to be like your late 20s, early 30s seems to be the best time statistically to get married, between 28 and 32. These have the lowest divorce rates. When we're talking mid-30s and beyond, it increases a little bit each year, and this makes sense because people get more set in their lifestyle. And in my head, I'm thinking of like the old rich guy and the young women, or people who have had one divorce tend to have multiple divorces. So that's why it makes sense that it keeps increasing with that age. So this kind of fits into the pro of waiting a little bit might make the marriage odds more successful. So another pro would be more personal freedom and flexibility. I mean, you'll have a lot more time to grind on projects, and this might help in your career as you just simply have more time to do work, as opposed to some of the responsibilities of being in a serious relationship. You also have lower emotional risk, so you have potential for less drama if you're distancing yourself from getting too involved, and you won't get your heart broken if you maintain emotional distance from them. And you just, you don't make that investment. You don't care what happens in those relationships. If you focus less on dating, not only do you have more time, but it's also a little bit less expensive if you're not dating at all, because you're not paying for a lot of those dates. One advantage that males have specifically is we have much less of a biological clock. So there's less pressure to figure it out in your 20s and early 30s. Now, you don't want to be a grandpa dad, but it's nice knowing that there's less of a contracted timeline than for our female friends, unfortunately. But that's just the reality of it. So some of the cons of dating around and prioritizing a career would be that obviously you could miss your chance of great dating opportunities. And if you want a family, it can also be part of going for that, quote, lifestyle you want. Casual dating can still be draining and take up lots of time, and not to mention that you'll probably still be interacting with crazier people who also want to be in casual relationships. So you got to be careful with casual dating because it can definitely be damaging to mental health, and can also be expensive. I mean, usually guys pay for the first few dates, at least if you're a real man. But anyways, yeah, it can still be expensive. So when you have emotional distance when dating, it's and living without emotion, it can be a recipe for depression. I mean, experiencing emotions, both good and bad, is part of life, and it can be more fun as opposed to just feeling nothing and keeping distance from everyone in your life. I've talked about this in prior videos, but it's very easy to neglect dating. If you don't prioritize finding a partner, you could find yourself with less meaning, and you got to really make sure that the pursuit of wealth and career success is actually making you happy. A lot of people derive great meaning from family and having a great partner, and in many cases, it can help you be more responsible. So I'd say probably the worst part of this scenario would be that you missed out on some great women who found others to settle down with, and now you're that rich, old, aging, bald, 46-year-old man, and people are only with you at this point because you have money, and that's not where you want to be. Plus, prioritizing your career is a risk in and of itself because similar to marriage, it's not a guarantee that it works out as well. So let's move over to the pros and cons of dating more seriously. So the pros would be you have a much higher probability of finding your spouse sooner. If you're taking dating seriously and you're dating with intention and you're not really going too far with people who don't fit your values, you're on a path to finding your spouse sooner. Plus, it's great to have that stability in your life of growing with one person, bouncing ideas off them, and it's just overall a more healthy environment, I would say, for your life. It also might help make you more accountable because you're going to work harder knowing that you're not just providing for yourself anymore. You've got a partner, and eventually you'll have kids. And I've heard this from a lot of young dads and people who are in serious relationships that your motivation goes up if you're with the right person. Another thing that people don't mention when it comes to serious relationships and finances is that if your partner also has a job, then you have a dual income, and that can be a huge game changer financially. So it's not like it's just this time and money sink, but at some point too, the other person has an income, and that helps you grow in financial stability as well. Now let's explore some of the cons of dating more seriously. An obvious con is that single guys definitely have a time advantage. I mean, they can work like a dog, and you might have less time to put towards your career if you have all these other responsibilities. I mean, when I was single, I could do whatever I want, whenever I wanted, and that's fun sometimes, but not all the time. And you need to do other things besides just work as well. You also have less freedom because you got to coordinate your life with someone else, and you got to make some compromises. So you can't just do what you want all the time, and now you have to account for you, your partner, and maybe your kids. So this could be a good or a bad thing, but you also have less experience. You'll have limited experience with multiple women, which we'll talk about this later. It could be a little overrated. I'd say the biggest con is if you make the wrong choice and get with the wrong woman. Divorce is awful for you, your entire future, your mental health, your financial health, and it's something you'd like to avoid at all costs. So let's talk about my experiences, and I have a fairly strong opinion on this because I did date around in my late teens, early 20s, and I've had a few serious girlfriends, and at the same time overall took my career pretty seriously. There were pros to this. I guess I figured out pretty fast what I wanted, what I didn't want due to many failed relationships, and I find that as you just see people around you date and you're dating yourself, you kind of develop a radar for the chicks that you don't want in your life just by going through the ringer. So I was able to filter them out in the future. Maybe this helped me find who I'm with now. So getting that experiences can help you narrow down what you want. I figured out that I tended to like more strong, religious, conservative women as opposed to ones who lived a little bit more on the edge. And I found that to be more similar to me and my values. I was never a hotshot by any means at business, but I got financially successful enough to realize that it wasn't bringing me fulfillment to see numbers just get bigger in bank accounts. Prioritizing my career never made me as happy as I thought it would before. And as I said before, fulfillment from a successful career is not guaranteed. Maybe I just wasn't working on the right things, but I got to where I wanted career-wise, and it just wasn't doing it for me anymore. This is the risk of pursuing only a career above all else, and that's that money might not bring you happiness, and the career might not work out as well either. That's not a guarantee. So of course, many people do find fulfillment and satisfaction from their career and gaining money. And if you do decide to go the lifestyle route, it is probably easier to make money, but it could lead to less meaning or a shallower lifestyle if you're not careful. Dating is also a time sink. I mean, I've always found dating around to be very stressful and time consuming. I mean, you got to always be texting new people, and these are strangers you don't necessarily care about, and you got to coordinate dates, and then you get ghosted, and then they don't reply. And I've always found that it's just less stressful to be in committed relationships. Plus, with the right woman, they'll support you, and they won't detract from you. So let's get into this next part, and that's that if you get the decision right with one woman, it will likely be the best and most important thing you've done in your entire life, and can lead to a lifetime of happiness and fulfillment. A funny story comes to mind with Bill Burr, and he said he has a joke where it's like, for the normal man, your first marriage is like your lottery pick. It's your chance to get it right, and because if you get it wrong, it's only downhill from there in most cases, not all. So, I don't know, this is a stupid joke. There are pros and cons of each, and the right woman will enhance your career and life. I mean, if you're with a woman who's hindering your career and creating stress and drama in your life, you might not be with the right person. I mean, my current girlfriend's literally helping to support me while I quit my job to pursue my dreams. And my girlfriend before that got angry at me for not making $200,000 when I was making $100,000 and telling me I had no ambition. So This to me illustrated a huge difference in being with the right person. The right person will make your life easier, not harder, and this is something that men should strive for and strive to find in their lives. So when it comes to dating versus a career, people seem to put it in this order. You have to put your career first and then find it, and I disagree with that. You don't. If you're with the right person, they'll help your career. Career and finding the right woman can both be done in parallel. It can enhance your career by getting the support and stability you need when you're with the right person. In my opinion, dating seriously is part of growing up. Dating around casually and hooking up with ladies is fun, but the fun ends fast, especially in your 20s. Even people who are hyper successful with women just say it leads to nothing, just purposelessness. It's the same thing after a while. Dating with intention and adopting responsibilities are important for men to do in their 20s. So my kind of overall answer on this is, in early 20s, I guess it matters less. Get your experiences, but definitely start taking things more seriously by age 24 and 25. Remember, the optimal age to figure it out, as they say, seems to be 28 to 32 statistically, but if you're prioritizing finding the right person earlier, that's completely fine and not a problem. And if you get that decision right, it'll likely help all these other aspects in your life, such as your career. So my closing thoughts on this would be, time moves fast. Missed opportunities will happen in both dating and business, no matter which path you take. You might miss some good dating opportunities if you choose your career, or you might miss some professional opportunities if you prioritize dating and being with one person. Everything is risky. Marriage is risky, can lead in divorce. Going for a career is risky because it could end in failure, or worse, lead you to unhappiness. So why not try to have both? Great meaning in life can be derived from finding the right person and trying to settle with one woman in the right way. So these are just my thoughts. It's open for debate. Got a pretty old school view, as you can say. Hope that answers your question. Feel free to send questions to my email, and which I'll link below. And as always, have a fantastic day and don't drink too much coffee. Peace out.